So, the first time I had my periods, I thought I was going to die. It was in 4th grade, I was 10 years old, and my sister, who used the toilet right after I did, probably saw some red spots on the potty and rushed quickly outside and screamed for my mom. "Mom, Bibu is peeing blood!" My face turned red. I was so embarrassed, but I had no idea from what or where or how the blood dripped from. So my mom said she had to see, so she took me to the toilet and said, "You were starting your periods." Or, as my aunt calls it, puncture bhayo. She made me put on a diaper. Well, that's at least what wearing a pad for the first time felt like. Family members started to visit bearing gifts, and everyone remarked that I was a grown-up girl now. In fact, a woman. Girls peed blood that suddenly turned them into women and didn't die? What? I had to keep this a secret in school and told no one, not even my best of friends. I mean, how could I tell anyone that I was wearing a diaper and peeing blood, right? So my 7th grade male health teacher drew what looked like bull's horns on the blackboard and said, "This is how periods happen." And all of the girls then suddenly were so much more mortified because even the boys knew now, right? And once what happened was when I was in my initial days, when I started my periods, one day I forgot to carry a pad with me and I had to use my yellow and white handkerchief as one. And I also noticed that girls started to carry pieces of white chalks in their pockets so that, you know, if the red stain their white skirt, then they would chalk their skirts as well. Girls started to go to the toilets and huddle to go to the toilet together so that the girl with the red stained skirt wouldn't stand out. Charlie's Angels, right? So we had to make sure to hide it real good. But embarrassment also followed fright. I noticed that more and more number of girls didn't just sit out of sports classes, but dropped out of all the sports classes altogether because we're scared. What if it fell and it stained? We didn't know how to take care of our bodies. Like, no one really taught us. Fast forward, my 9th grade health teacher, male again, drew male and female genitals on the blackboard to talk to us about, you know what, it that must not be named in our Nepali society, sex. "These are the male and female sex organs," he said, and all the boys were all smiles and curious to learn, and the girls just stared at the floor. Research shows that boys are curious way before girls are about their bodies and their sexualities, and some even begin to be sexually active as young as 12 years of age. And there we were, some of us girls who thought babies were born by cutting open women's bellies only. So the teacher continued to explain, "These are the male and female sex organs. These are the functions of these sex organs, but never really explaining sex. Babies are conceived when the sperm and the egg meet. But how on earth do they meet?" No one really taught us, you know, and we couldn't ask our parents because they thought we learned it in school. Fast forward to my gender and women's studies class, my freshman year in college. My gender and women's studies professor, Dr. Costa, introduced to us a guest speaker in class to talk to us about contraceptives and who showed us female condoms. There is a condom for women. What? This is why America must be great, I thought. In the same year, I remember putting my head down, staring at the floor while trying to watch a movie intended for educational purposes, and 2 naked bodies rubbed and moaned against each other. I mean, stop. Learning about sex is one thing, but watching it all together with your classmates is a whole another set of embarrassment. I call that experience 100% cultural shock. Because, obviously, in Nepal, we watch sex or naked bodies alone at midnight after our parents have fallen asleep in FTV channel. Obviously. Or in case there's a sexually explicit content on TV or even a commercial for sanitary pads, we just rush to change the channels, right? And have you all ever noticed parents trying to shush their kids singing, Sangini, Sangini, Tin Mahine Swe Sangini? The 3-month contraceptive injection with one catchy tune I will never forget. But no, not in my gender studies class. Everything was out there in the open for us to analyze and read between these blurred and mixed and dual messages that women received about the essence of being a woman and the objectification of our bodies. We analyzed this by making ourselves the subject of an ethnographic study and shared among us the stories of our journeys to womanhood. And this experience made me realize how women worldwide are connected in our stories of struggle, but also how important the tool of story sharing was. Not just because story sharing releases oxytocins in your head, but also because how it makes you feel. And this feels is very important to convert words into actions. Fast forward to me as a 23-year-old lady back in Nepal, motivated to work for women's rights and empowerment. I really believe that we needed to hear those stories of women's struggles so that we can convert women's advocacy into actions. Advocacy, as I called it. I started to lead Hamri Bahini, the Green Angels Women's Empowerment Social Enterprise, which is an innovation under HCI, and we have collectively created employment and self-employment opportunities for 1,100 women. Thank you. Before placing women in these jobs, we also conduct interviews to ensure that the women who is placed in these jobs get to work in a safe and a respectable working environment. And during these interviews, women have confided in us their stories of struggles, ranging from abusive husbands not letting their wives to work, to abusive in-laws, literally enslaving their daughters-in-law to work even during pregnancies, to forced abortions of a girl child, to molestations, to partners refusing to use contraceptives, to rape, to marital rape. And all these stories had a pattern. Women lived in hiding, women worked in hiding, women suffered in hiding. And what is more appalling is that women are taught suffering in silence is a form of our strength. We are taught that we must not speak in the name of abuse. We must learn to be resilient. And our strength as a mother, daughter, wife, daughter-in-law, grandmothers lies in the fact that we learn to be resilient in the name of abuse. If, as a society, we have created this construct about where the strength of women lies, we can deconstruct it too. And to redefine, where the strength of women actually lies, and to redefine what resilience actually means, we must listen to the hidden stories, the real accounts of women's lives, their struggles, and bring them back to the limelight. To do exactly that, I initially sought the platform of the international movement to end violence against women and girls called the Vagina Monologues, and started VDE Kathmandu, the Vagina Monologues in Nepal. I also started Vagina Workshop, which is inspired from the movement itself. And today, I not only organize the annual productions of the Vagina Monologues, but also conduct these vagina workshops for hundreds of girls and women. The idea behind the Vagina Workshops is to create a safe, informative, and innovative space for women and young girls from diverse backgrounds to come together and talk openly and loudly about vagina, sex, orgasm, gender, sexuality, and share stories about violence and of love to learn from each other, so that together we remove the taboos surrounding these topics in our lives. Women and girls who participate in the workshops share intimate stories, just like how I did about my periods, to learn from each other's experiences. Although vagina is kept at the center of our conversations, but we also talk about how the essence of being a woman does not just rely on having a vagina. Our discourses are surrounding the fact that what it means to be a woman, how gender and sexuality are fluid, and how we all experience it in different ways. So, in the workshop, I start by familiarizing women with the word vagina itself. Oddly, the comfort lies in the fact that it is a word in English and not in Nepali. But there are Nepali words for vaginas, like susu गर्ने ठाउँ, the place where we pee from, half-cut apple, adhi kateko syau, sel roti even, traditional Nepali dish, and my favorite, tyo kya? Tyo. That, just that. Textbooks call it yoni, and in Nepali we also call it guptanga. Break the word into two. Gupt, secret or hidden, and anga, body part, a secret hidden body part. It is there, but shh, it's a secret. It is also difficult for us to utter the word vagina or yoni because we are taught that it is a dirty word, it is a dirty place, and we also relate it to dirty things like sex. Hence, don't touch it, don't smell it, don't look at it, don't think about it, don't even think about it. It is completely removed from our thoughts. An entire body part is removed from our thoughts. So how do you talk about something that has ceased to exist even in your thoughts? This has definitely led to so much misinformation that I've met so many young girls and women who still don't know how periods happen, what is orgasm, they've never had orgasms in their lives, how babies are born. I've also learned from doing the workshops in Nepalganj that young boys and girls learned about their bodies and sexualities through secret confession pages or through pornography. Imagine the type of messages that young boys and girls receive if their knowledge about their bodies and sexualities are through pornography. This has certainly led to so much misinformation, violence, and insecurity, especially among the girls. So, the next step in the workshop, I start by establishing the fact that our guptanga actually exists. Because some of us women took this so seriously that we actually started to believe that our guptanga should actually be kept gupt and silence, that we've never even looked at it. So once we bring it back to our consciousness that it actually exists and literally see that it exists, we talk about its capacity. Its capacity to expand and contract and introduce all into this world, that, and sex, and pleasure, and multiple orgasms. The beauty of the workshop lies in the fact that diverse women and girls from diverse backgrounds come together to talk about their experiences based on their personal accounts, expertise, right? So we talk about the little black curly hair, sexting, Tinder dates, how virginity is a myth, the first time we had our periods, the first time we had our sex, why we don't want to have sex, how sex is possible not just between a biological male to female, and female to female, but also with oneself, to know that we are in control of our own bodies. I've realized now more than ever that Eve Ensler was right. Women secretly love to talk about their vaginas. You couldn't stop them once they get going. So thanks to the amazing women that I've had the opportunity to co-create this experience with for the best laughs and also some tears. A gynecologist in Ramechhap shared with me a story about a woman who used a cork, something like a wine bottle cork, as a plug to stop her uterus from falling down because she didn't know what fistula or uterine prolapse was. Decades after, when it was removed, finally removed, the doctor explained that the entire hospital stank. A woman had to be operated to remove glass shards from her vagina that were making cuts inside her vagina because she thought we could use glass bangles as vaginal rings. I've heard stories about women whose uterus fell while peeing in the rice fields, got stuck in straws and pieces of dust, and she still managed to push it back inside her. I've also heard stories from women in Badi community, sex workers in the western region of Nepal, whose lovers brought them gifts, but also were sexually abused. I've heard from young girls who don't have the courage and have the environment to come out to their parents as gay and have been living trapped in a body that is not their own. I've also met teenagers, young boys and girls in Kagati village in Nuakot who are so curious to learn about their bodies but have access to no information, and this has led to violence, and this has led to a number of child marriages. And now the village is seeing a huge rise in polygamy. Recently, in the same village, a young girl was raped. She was in 4th grade. She was 10 years old. And today, just a couple of hours ago, I received a message from a young girl, a teenager in Lomjung, who has been raped year after year by her own father since she was 5 years old. And she's so scared to go to the doctors and don't know what to do. One of my dearest and smartest friend, who used to work in an NGO, was asked to leave her job after the boss finding that she was in a production of Vide Kathmandu, the Vagina Monologues. The more we try to push our boundaries, the more our society tries to shut us down. That is why we have to be loud. We have to talk openly and loudly in open spaces like these about these tabooed topics. Dear mothers and fathers and uncles and aunties and friends, we have to normalize conversations surrounding our bodies and sexualities so that we remove the taboos, the secrecy, the violence surrounding these topics, so that we learn to take back power to control our own shamed bodies and silenced sexualities. We can only be free if we accept everything that makes us women, with or without a vagina. And this acceptance and knowing that we are in charge of ourselves and our own bodies and we are enough in ourselves liberates us. This is what empowerment truly means. Dear millennials, if we want to create a truly inclusive and a sustainable world, we need to start by fixing broken things rather than creating new ones. The more we violate and fail to treat our bodies with love, we fail to treat our environment with love. We must reestablish the interconnectedness among all of us by sharing these stories. These common lived experiences brings us all in a union. Dear all, we have a responsibility to push the collective consciousness of our society further by rewiring the most important sex organ in our bodies, our brains. To do that, we should start by not degrading our body part to just a mere swear word and reclaim it with full confidence. Poo as in purpose and ti as in ticklish, purposefully ticklish. What a beautiful word it is. They say that our period cycles are in alignment with the moon cycle, and during the period cycle, women are the most powerful and the most intuitive. This power that could be harnessed through our bodies help us align and help us transcend to the gods within, to a higher knowledge. Our 28-day period cycle helped invent the calendar. Community members in older days used to rely on women on their periods to gain this knowledge, gained through higher transcendence. Women, know that this is the capacity of our bodies. We are that powerful and our bodies are that important. We shouldn't be ostracized in small huts as untouchables during our periods. Our bodies are the temples that houses the gods within. We have no restrictions to enter this temple. In fact, we are the priestess of this temple, and we need to worship this temple, to worship the mighty goddesses in all of us. Thank you.